KWT slaying.
Salama family, salama, how y'all doing today? Hope you're blessed and highly favored. Today we have with us Asher and Gad, Brother Kingsley and his wife. Please introduce yourself.
Hi guys, how are you? Bless you all, bless you all. I'm Crystal Boateng, all the way from Ghana.
Yes, and I'm Kingsley Boateng, aka Asher, as they say. Shalom family, and it's good to be invited to your channel once again.
So let me ask you all, why did you all come up with the name Asher and Gad? I was always curious about that.
That is a question for Crystal.
Okay, I'm going to answer that. Thank you, Mr. Theo, for inviting us here. God bless you so much. Right, regarding God, I am the God. You know, I'm from the Igbo tribe. And God, which is Ogadimma, that's the real name, which is God. And we have his statue in Enugu. And we are from his lineage. We are from his lineage. And also, yeah, Kingsley, I believe, Asha, I believe is like Ashanti, because God and what was it? Asha, they are brothers from the same mother and the same father. And what we know from history is that the Ashanti people and the Igbos are brothers. So who else will be Asha if not the Ashanti people? Where I know that Igbo people are God, and also Uda, which is Judah as well. They call it Judah. We never used to have J in Igbo language. We know these guys have changed things a lot. So Uda and God. So yeah, that's how the name came about. Thank you.
Yeah, and Ashantis, we migrated from the Igbo land, didn't we?
Yes, they migrated from the Igbo land.
Yeah.
So is that Gad Dangbe? Is that it for Gad, or I got that correct? No.
No, Gad Dangbe, that's in Ghana. That's a tribe in Ghana. Gad is more from the Igbo side, and it's short. It's a short for the actual
Ogadimma, yeah. All will be well, something like that.
Yeah, and there's a statue of God in your land as well.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's been there for like forever.
Yeah.
And then we also have the temple where we normally go to worship, which the British demolished it. It was a holy temple where everybody will worship at a certain time. So they desecrated the temple, destroyed it. The face of God left there. So yeah.
I mean, I think I actually emailed you the statue before. Maybe I'm happy to send it again. The actual statue.
Okay. Yeah, I may have missed that one.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, have you always known that you all were Israelites, or is that a recent revelation?
Well, I'll say ever since I was a little girl, we were taught in school, in primary school, because I schooled in Igbo land in Nigeria, Eastern Nigeria. So we were told that we were Hebrews, that Igbos are Hebrews. But it just didn't mean anything to us or to me as at that time, because they didn't even press it. They didn't even tell us much, but just said, just know that you are the real Hebrews. As in primary school. In secondary school, we all knew, but we used to make fun of it. So, but it didn't really make that much sense until the awakening. I'm like, okay, we were actually told that in primary school. Yeah.
For me, I had no idea. Brought up in the church system as a normal Gentile Christian, so to speak. No idea until what was it? February 2020, when January, February 2020, when our awakening kind of started.
So, what would you say to some of the people out there on the Christian side who would say that y'all not Israelites? I mean, you got your history, right? But they're gonna tell you your history is wrong. What would you say to that?
I just laugh. Honestly, I don't need to argue with them, because what it is that in my culture, my tradition, which is the Igbo tradition, is all in the Old Testament. I mean, the Old Testament is about my culture. It's about my tradition. Even some of the names, you can see that they twisted a lot of the names.
Yeah, exactly.
So I just don't argue. I just laugh, because what's your culture? My culture is the Old Testament, so I am the one.
I mean, for me, I try to bring out some verses to prove that the guys who are in what the land we call Israel today are not the real Israelites. And when I ask people to explain what Revelations 2:9 and 3:9 means, they can't explain it. Whereas I can explain it, give a couple of examples, and they shake their heads. Actually, you got a point there, but still not really convinced. And it all boils down to the fact that if Yahuwah hasn't opened your eyes, you just remain blind.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of people who are blind today. No matter how much evidence you give them, how many scriptures you give them, they can't see, they can't hear, and it's like it's really overwhelming at sometimes, because I'm like, the deception has grown so much. So you all were living in the UK before you moved to Ghana. When did you decide to move to Ghana, and why?
There you go.
There you go.
I go. Yeah, well, so basically, we our awakening began the beginning of 2020, so January 2020, and throughout that process of awakening and reading the scriptures for ourselves again, and understanding who we were, and understanding the 400-year prophecy, and understanding, where we were in this world, what was happening in the world, the chaos, and really, Yahuwah says, get out Babylon, so that you don't partake in her iniquities. And really, Crystal had some issues at work regarding the lollipop. Maybe you want to talk about that. A bit. That was one main issue, and
that's
really,
a big one.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
That's a big one. And really, I think come around about August time, we decided that, right, we need to make plans to move out of this place. We can't just sit idle. We wanted to move. So we started to look for land to buy and someone to help us. And Father, once you put your life into his hands, he makes things happen for you. And a dear uncle helps us out. In October, we started putting a spade in the ground. And really, 8 months on, the house has come along quite far. And it got to a point where, because I'm in construction, I did the majority of the design. I needed to be on the ground to make sure that they don't mess it all up, if you know what I mean. So
didn't you design your own house?
Yeah, designed the engineering services really within the house, and rather than the house itself. The house, we got the design of an architect of an internet, but we modified the design. But I designed all the electrical and air conditioning and the water services within the building, so to speak.
Sounds like a good business plan to me in Ghana.
Absolutely.
If you wanted to.
Yeah, absolutely. So really, the pressure of the house getting to a point where we needed to be around, unless things are going to go wrong. They're going to build what they want rather than building what I put on paper. And also, in addition to the pressure that my wife was experiencing in her healthcare job because of the lollipop, and also the scriptures get out of there, all kind of come around the same time, and just time to go. Really.
So, what do you all think about the pressure that they're putting on everyone globally? Because it's getting out of hand, and I think really it's coming to a crescendo. And what we're seeing right now is the mass uprising. Now, where that's going to go, I guess, is the question. What do you think the people in the UK are going to do? Are they going to just allow this to continue the way it is? Because, I mean, we all know this is a global takeover by the devil, right? For all purposes.
Yeah.
Well, okay, let's say it this way, because I had to leave my job because of the pressure to take that thing. I didn't want that. And I remember when this happened, I mean, when they started talking about this thing in 2020, they said it wasn't going to be mandatory. We believe them. But then they called us conspiracy theorists because when we put it out there, it's okay, fine, that's okay. Maybe we're being a bit too fast. I mean, we're a bit too fast. Let's just be cool. But as I went back to work, because I took a time off when the whole thing started, I didn't understand what was going on, so I took a time
Oh
off.
yeah.
So afterwards, I went back to work. Right. So because I'm a dental nurse, the dentist said to me, asked me if I had taken the thing. I'm like, no. And she asked again, are you going to take it? Because you're vulnerable, the da da
Yeah,
da,
ethnic minority.
ethnic minority, and everybody in the surgery has taken it. So we're afraid that you could give it to us. I'm like, I'm not going to take it. He said, but it's going to be mandatory. So you need to think about what you want to do in the long run. I'm like, really? Say, yes, everybody will have to take it. Everybody in the healthcare industry will have to take it, or you lose your job. So I'm like, okay. So I worked for 4 days, and that was it. They didn't let me back. I tried elsewhere. I told them I was going to take it. They didn't let me back. So that was it. I was done. Then I realized that other people in the UK, because they didn't want to lose their jobs, they were taking it.
Yeah.
So even if this, even some of my friends, at first they were like, "Oh, I'm on the edge. I'm not quite sure." But I'm like, this is not good. Why?
Yeah.
Because I have to keep my job. So a lot of them are going to take it because they want to keep their job, and also because they don't want to. I don't know what their condition is, but I mean, that's if they are Africans. I don't know if they have a place in Africa, because it's just by God's grace that
Yeah.
Kingsley and I were able to, find some place to stay. I don't know what they can't judge,
Yeah.
but a lot of people are still going to take it because there's no plan B for them. And this just dawned on us just like that. Nobody had
So,
to make any plans.
so I have a profound idea for everyone. What if everybody just quit? That means there's no more businesses running, no more Tesla companies running. I mean, look, they don't have all the robots yet. If everybody said no all at the same time, this will stop tomorrow. I just
Absolutely.
don't understand the people and they lack of understanding that they have the power. These
Exactly.
1% people cannot force the whole world to do it if everybody says no.
And
What do you-
exactly. Go on. Sorry.
yeah, I was just wondering your thoughts.
Yeah, no, you are 100% correct. If everybody said no, the whole thing would stop. But
Yeah.
coming back to your question about the UK, the issue is, yes, there are a few people who are protesting and uprising, but in the grand scheme of things, they are a minority. They are a minority. The majority of people, especially people in the professional and in my line of work, you look stupid if you are
Yeah.
there and you haven't taken it. And there are some of our clients now, you can't come to their site without having a test in the car park before they allow you to enter. All right, which means obviously that's step one. Give it a few months time, they'll say, well, you need the lollipop now. And if you don't have the lollipop, then you're affecting business. You see, you're affecting, affecting commercial activity. You see what I mean? So then you're looked at in a very strange way, and it's negative for you completely. So the whole thing about the UK is people are quite timid anyway. So there is some uprising, but the majority bow to the government. And Mummy Babylon is one of the countries, in my view, that is championing this lollipop passport, and even more than America, the way I see it, it seems to be going head on as if they're in a race to get to the finish line before everybody else. So that's where it is.
Yeah, she is the mother of Babylon. America's just the daughter, you
Exactly.
know.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that the next step is going to be the quantum dot tattoo, right? Which, in my opinion, is the mark of the beast.
Right.
Now, what are people going to do then? They're going to just keep ignoring the scriptures and the prophecies and go along and be damned. I'm just wondering. So let me ask you this question. I noticed from the probably in the last month or two, the president of Ghana, Akufo-Addo, he got the lollipop. So, what do you all think of that?
I think, yeah, I think he's again. A lot of the African countries, even though they're independent, as you know, they are still largely controlled by Babylon and the rest. And I think he's unfortunately, I think he's one of them. Even though sometimes he comes out with good words, but I think largely he's controlled by them. And I think maybe Abaya is probably gonna get rid of him at some point, because obviously we need it. I'm sure Yahuwah is gonna clean out the whole continent gradually with the right people that we need to lead us forward. So I know he's taken the lollipop. His wife has taken it. Some other influential people have taken it. So it's disheartening, really. But what I would say is, apart from key workers in Ghana, the masses, there are still a lot of people who are rejecting the lollipop,
Yes.
even though he's done that.
Do you think it would ever reach the point, like I've seen some videos in India and Australia where they were going around forcing people to take it? Do you think that would ever happen in Ghana?
I should hope not. I hope not. Well, it's difficult to tell. I hope not. The way I see things at the moment, I don't believe so. I guess it's difficult to mandate the lollipop, apart from maybe in structured enclosed places like maybe supermarkets or going to a hospital, if it should get to that level. But in terms of going to the open market or other places, it's going to be difficult to mandate the lollipop. Forcing it with military force, whew, I hope not.
This is
I hope not.
Africa. You can't. How are you going to get the people all to be in one place and then do that? You just can't put that much control.
It's difficult.
It's difficult.
Yeah,
how are you going to
it's
control them?
difficult. Yeah, I mean, this is one thing. The one good thing about Africa as a whole is, obviously, the Gentiles call it the third world, because obviously it's undeveloped in comparison to America and Europe. And Father Yah is so graceful. He's a master of design, and I believe all that's on purpose, because we're so undeveloped in comparison. We haven't got the technology to the right level to monitor people everywhere. It's just,
Yeah.
And even if you bought the technology, the guys are not very efficient at using it anyway.
Yeah,
So,
and there's no infrastructure in certain areas to get there to force it.
That's it. Exactly.
And again, for example, here people don't really use credit card. They just buy,
exactly.
buy cash, and people own their homes here, so it's not as if they're mortgage. So how are you gonna catch them anyway? How are you gonna force them to take it?
Exactly.
There has to be a system in place to be able to do that, but it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
So what about the rest of your family who are in the UK? They see all of this happening, and I'm sure you told them about, the prophecies and what's happening.
Yeah.
What do they think about all of this now?
I'll let you go first. Your family.
Well, my family, all members of my family are in the US. They're not here. I mean, they're not in London.
In Houston, yeah.
Yeah, so I tried to tell them. I did my best, but they thought I was mad, And even my mom, they're not taking it seriously. I know I've cried all the much I could, and I realized that if the Most High doesn't wake you up, you can't wake up. And it's also about people realizing that people love Babylon more than they love the Most High, because you claim to be a believer, but deep down inside, when things like this happen, you realize that you're leaning towards Babylon more than, even if you know it's the truth, but you can't just detach from the pleasures of Babylon. That's what I see in my family right now. But I continue praying for them, but I don't want to cry anymore. I think if they decide to take it, I've told them that I don't want to hear about it. Just do your thing. Don't let me know. I'll be fine. Yeah.
And it's similar with me, Minister Yakoba. Similar. Some hear, but the majority don't hear. And I even have someone who, was resistant to my words over a long time, has finally woken up, but unfortunately only after taking the first jab. So they're not going to take the second jab, but I don't know what impact it will have on their body just taking the one lollipop. But we done our best.
Yeah, so Minister Teyu has a question for you all. How's working with Wi-Fi in Ghana? Can online professionals work successfully there?
Well, I think that question goes to me, and I think you can see the evidence on your screen right now, and I believe you can hear me. And I believe you can hear me very clearly with visually as well. And obviously, by the grace of Yahuwah, one of the reasons why we were able to come out here is obviously we were looking for jobs, and Yahuwah, you see, he says he orders our steps. I've been with the same company for the past 10 years, and there are times when I've wanted to leave, and every time I wanted to leave, Yahuwah he just does something, and they give me another offer, and I end up staying. And I told them that I wanted to go to Ghana for a few years, and they basically said yes. So so that was really a significant weight of our shoulders. And so I've been working from home in Ghana for the past couple of months now or so, and yeah, it's been fine, absolutely fine. The Wi-Fi is good enough. I've had to go through testing a number of different providers to find the combinations that work, but you always have to have two for resilience, just in case one lets you down. But generally, we use a wireless connection, and it's good enough, pretty good enough.
Yeah.
You can work from home, you are fine. If you're an IT like yourselves, then I say, what are you still doing there?
I'm here for family. That's the only reason,
Yeah.
I think, like I mentioned before, I think the only way I'm gonna get there is the second Exodus. I can't leave them behind. Somebody got to stand in the way of the bullets, right?
Yeah.
So no, working is fine.
And like you say, the Most High put you in certain places for a reason, and I believe I'm here right now for a reason.
Right.
So, but I'm not scared of them jokers. If I got to deal with what I got to deal with, I'm gonna deal with it. But here's the thing. This is how I put it, and it don't really sound too good.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, them giving you the lollipop is no different than you being in jail and the big guy come up to you and tell you, bend over. I mean, literally, right? I'm like, what, they want to stick something there, right? So it's like, no, I'm not the one, right? Even if, like if I was in prison, right? I'm not the one. You better watch out because I'm coming for you, right? I mean, if you try that, right? I'm not the one. So I don't care if they have the guns, the tanks, the planes, the automobiles, they control the financial system, whatever, I'm not the one, And see, that's the thing is, to me, I think the Lord prepared me for this, since I was born, because I've always separated myself from the system, and I've always stood with the righteous side and for justice. And so, I don't fall for that type of stuff, right? I may not have known everything. I didn't know we were Israel, but I was never going to stand for injustice, right? And that's what this is. And I don't care if the whole world takes the lollipop. I'm not going to take it, right?
Exactly.
Whatever the cause, right? Worst case scenario, I go and be in heaven with the Most High, period.
Yeah, exactly. And that's how we all have to be, because it's getting tough. I mean, I don't know if you saw, I saw an article on Yahoo 2 days ago where in Australia, they're saying they're about to release the military to enforce lockdowns. Now, obviously, if you're bringing out the military to enforce lockdowns, then very soon that same military will try and enforce the lollipop.
Yep.
Yeah.
So,
the thing is with Australia, they took most of their guns away, right?
Right.
And that's the only reason it hasn't happened here yet.
Right.
And so, they know for a fact, once it gets to that point, you ain't even got to worry about Israel. You got to worry about them right-wing Christians that's going to come out and handle business, right? So, they know that.
True.
I guess that's one advantage of having those toys, let's say, dangerous toys, but that's an advantage.
Yeah.
But that's why they're going to try to starve us out and thirst us out, right? They're trying to reduce the food supply and the water and stuff like that. And, the first steps is removing the protection over people in their homes, so people are going to be kicked out on the street, which is going to cause more chaos. And they're going to be like, well, if you want the protection of the government, you're going to have to show us your passport.
That's ridiculous. I don't know if you saw the link I put on your the group today from BBC saying if you're below 18, you can get discount for your taxi rides and discounts for food and restaurants if you take the two lollipops.
So desperate.
On the BBC. Now that's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Can't people see this is just coercion?
Exactly.
Surely if something is so dangerous, you don't need to give people offers or what they call presents to go and take it. Surely the people would rush to it if it's that dangerous, and
But why don't people see this thing as something that's very scary? This is not normal. Why don't people see it as not normal? I don't get it.
I know what it is, because they grew up in Babylon. So they are so used to the pleasures of Babylon that they can't let it go, right? They don't know how to live on their own. And so Mama Babylon says, look, if you don't do this, I'm not going to give you your bottle anymore. If you don't do that, you're going to have to go fend for yourself now, right? And so now people are like, well, Mama Babylon says I need to do it. I'm gonna do it, not realizing Mama Babylon really wasn't your mama. You was adopted. And some of y'all was stolen, right? And so there's this anime, what is it called? Promise Neverland. And in Promise, you ever saw it?
I don't think so. It sounded familiar, but I don't think so yet.
So in Promise Neverland, there's this orphanage, and all of these little kids, they're like under 10, and they're raised by this mother of the house, and they call her Mama. And she's so sweet and nice, and she cooks for them, and she feeds them, and all these things. Little did they know that the good old Mama was working for these demons or aliens, whatever you want to call them, right? And the kids were food for the demons. So they were raising them as they would cattle so that they can be fed on. Sounds like Israel to me. Sounds like, Israel growing up in this system thinking it's their mama, and the mama been feeding off of her, and the aliens been feeding off of Israel. And so, our people don't know yet. I mean, I'm not talking about the awakened Israel, but the ones who still asleep. They don't understand what they're dealing with. They're dealing with the devil. They're dealing with that end time prophecy, and they all call themselves Christians. And as well as I do, Brother Kingsley, growing up, we all heard about the mark of the beast. We all heard about the end times. We all heard this, and now you see it, and what happens? They act like it don't exist.
I know. It's for me. It's an almighty spell on the entire world. From the devil, and for me, we watched I don't know if you've seen it. I think the Olympics in 2012. Ceremony in the UK.
London Olympics.
There's a clip on the YouTube. I think between the 41st and 47th minute, and if you watch it, even though this is 2012, it just looked like a ritual. It just looked like that was the virus being introduced, and had the royalties there, and you even showed the Boris Johnson being sick as an anime.
Yeah, not him as in sculpture, something that looks so much like him.
Yeah, like
you
know it's him.
See, that. Yeah.
Exactly. He was sick, and then he kind of was well, and you can see demonic structures and all sorts. And when watching it back about 18 months ago, I thought, wow, this stuff was all planned. This stuff was all planned, and I think it's just an almighty spell on the whole world. And if Yahuwah doesn't protect you from that spell and doesn't open your eyes up, you're going to remain blind forever.
Yeah.
Really.
Okay, you remember when I went in 2020 February or March, when they were going to test us for the masks.
Oh, right, in your dentist.
Yeah. So I was called in to come and test for my mask. When I went there, they put you into this funny thing, and they spray something in there. They wouldn't tell you exactly what was the chemical, because I kept asking. No dentist, no nurse knew the name of the chemical and the components of the chemical, right? And then when you're in the little thing that looks like a bee, something
like an astronaut.
Yeah. Then they ask you to do your head like that, like a robot, and it was just replicating what was done in the London Olympics.
The same movement.
And then they'll ask you to bow to read something, then bow 7 times. I'm like, why? Seriously, why do I have to bow 7 times? Why do I? So the lady was actually shouting at me, you need to read that thing out. And what they asked me to read, they said that they needed to know if my dentist would hear me if I wore the mask. I'm like, but dentist said, no, you need to read it. And the thing was like something of a rainbow. And it just didn't make sense. But my spirit was telling me not to read that. Exactly. So I kind of mumbled through it. So she was shouting. They don't shout, but she was actually shouting. And then they asked me to bow 7 times. And then, because I had to bow, I was saying it, I bow to only Jesus, my Lord. I bow to Yeshua. Seriously, she thought I was mad. But then I left. I'm like, that was last day.
Last straw.
Yes. But what happened was that when I found out the name of the chemical, they wouldn't tell me the components. I Googled. Right. So in the surgery, they would, every morning, you will have to fill a form, something that says, did you vomit? Are you having tummy ache? Or some funny things. Now, that chemical had all the side effects of what I have to feel every morning when I come to work. So that means if I have, it's like those side effects, those things are the signs of that thing, CV.
Yeah, CV, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
So if I took that, because they keep asking you to inhale that.
Mm.
And I felt sick. That means they're
You
going to
thought-
say, I got that. And then they asked me to go take the vaccine or what?
What,
Sorry.
lollipop,
The
sorry.
lollipop, sorry. Whatever. So, so the London Olympics and all that, everything was just a ritual. That's
Yeah.
what they do. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I had to run away.
Yeah, so a lot of this stuff is initiations,
Yeah.
and people don't realize it. This thing is spiritual, and
Yeah.
the interesting thing is, it's not just the Gentiles; it's some of the Israelites as well that's caught up in the occult. And I've never seen anything just so demonic and slippery and wet. It's beyond imagination that people would fall for it. I mean, like the whole thing about the Book of Mormon being our book. I'm like, and people believe that stuff, right? People believe that Joseph Smith, the founder of Mormonism, was an Israelite. I'm like, really? I'm like, I just can't do this no more. Can I just go back and sit in the corner and let y'all deal with the rest of the world? I'll just sit here and wait on the Lord, right? Because I'm just flabbergasted, to be honest with you.
Too
right?
much
And then when you tell people, they don't listen.
No, they don't listen because it's all a matter of where the heart is, really.
Yeah.
Once the heart is captured, like like you said, their heart is in Babylon. They don't want to leave it. I mean, how many people, if you think about it, how many people would who live in the UK or a developed world would leave their career for the reasons you just highlighted? Leave, let's say, a more comfortable, a more structured, a more organized society, and come to Africa. How many of our people would do that? Or even the Gentiles? Not many.
Yeah.
Not many. So
I mean, I'm ready to go right now. If the Most High told me to go,
Yeah.
that's the only thing. I mean, he hasn't told me to go, so I got to be obedient, right?
Of course.
But I can tell you right now, this and be honest with you, if you go and the Most High don't tell you to go, you might end up in trouble. If he told you to go, he gonna take and provide for you, right?
That's true.
Amen. That's right.
Because it was like for me within that, remember, was it May, June? Where I still last year, I actually had a dream, and then somebody came to me, asked me to fill a form, and the form had to say that I would have to leave work for 1 year. I was really upset. I was, why would I want to leave my job for 1 year?
Yeah.
The lady said you have to fill the form. I'm not saying you won't work again, but for 1 year you need to leave your job. And I filled the form. I was very upset, and I said to my husband, like, they're gonna give me a sack. I didn't know that I was actually going to say goodbye to my job. It was when things began to happen. I had no other choice than to say goodbye. Yeah.
So Minister Tayu has another question for you all. What is your opinion about the jab test? Did you all have to take one to get out of the UK?
Very good question. Now, obviously, we were quite nervous in coming up to leaving, but we believe once Yahuwah says, come out of Babylon so you don't partake in her iniquity. I didn't for one believe that the test would be so dangerous unless he wouldn't say that in the first place. That's one point of my analysis. Second, is unlike the lollipop, you don't have to store it in minus 70 degrees Celsius and all that stuff, and people don't have the same side effects with the test as they do with the lollipop, from everything I've read and everybody I've spoken to. So obviously the move to leave Babylon, which Jehovah put in our heart, was more significant than any concern regarding the test. Now we had to take the test, obviously leaving the UK. That was a test at home. Shove it up your nose, shove it in your near your tonsils. But obviously we did it very gently, but it was a little bit uncomfortable. But one thing I would say is, obviously we heard a lot about the test in Ghana. Oh, they'll shove it up your nose, it'll go up right into your brain, it'll crack your brain and bleed and all sorts of, because that's what we were hearing, and obviously it brought about some fears, let's say. But I have to tell you, when we got to Ghana, my word, it was so professional. The test in the Kotoka airport of Ghana was so professional and so painless. It was over in a matter of seconds, about 3 seconds. And when they put it up your nose, it probably went maybe half a centimeter. You hardly felt it. So I was so impressed with the way they did it in the Ghana airport compared to, I guess, let's say, the exaggerations I was hearing. So yes, we had no choice, but we're happy with that decision because we know we're led by Yahuwah in that matter.
So let me ask you, since you've been back to Ghana, and you've talked to your family members who are from Ghana and other locals. Do they understand what's happening in the world, and do they understand why it's important not to take the lollipop?
Do you want to go with that?
My family, they think I'm mad. They think I'm going cuckoo somewhere. They don't get it. Honestly, because what actually my uncle called me. What was he? He called me one very funny name. He's a professor in the United States.
Yeah, Florida, yeah.
Yeah, and he said, "You've been taking jabs ever since you were born. So why is this one different? So you mean, we sponsored you. You schooled in the UK. You got all your degrees and all that, and then you're going back and." Do you know what I mean? So they thought I got mad, but because obviously when you're a woman, you have to go with your husband. So I had to go. Oh, I have to go where my husband goes. So that way they had to chill a little bit for me. So they take it out on Kingsley, not me.
Yeah, but in terms of, I think was your question more relating to the people in Ghana?
Well, yeah, just everyone there. I mean, do they understand what the world is truly dealing with? Because I mean, I know a lot of not just Africans, but people around the world trust the government. Yeah. And the people in America, especially the descendants of slaves, we have a history of the government trying to do things evil to us. So we're suspect, but I mean we're suspicious of them, let's say. But on the continent, they're a little trusting of those people when they come in there with their sticks. So that's basically what my question is: if they understand the dangers.
Now, what I'll tell you is that this is based on the sample spectrum that of people we've spoken to. The older generation don't necessarily know what's going on; they're just following the government. Sometimes the thought of a government doing evil towards you is I guess that thought is too fearful to believe it, so they just believe whatever the government says. Within the church, lots of deception. I've met people who said that I don't want to take the lollipop, but my pastor said I should take it, so I took it. I said, well, come on, if you didn't want to take it, don't take it. I've met another person who said, oh, I didn't want to take it either, but my pastor kept on preaching that we need to take it, so I took it. But I won't take the second one. So what I would say is tell you that within with the church itself is dead, definitely dead in that matter. Outside of the church is a huge awakening in Ghana. Every time we sit in a Bolt or an Uber, they're angry at the church. Some of them know they're Israelites, and many of them also know that how evil and fraudulent Mami Babylon is, and they're not going to take that lollipop for sure. However, when it comes to the government organizations and the key workers, quite a few of them have taken the lollipop, unfortunately. So I would say that the younger generation are probably a bit more aware than the older generation.
Yeah, they are.
So do you all think that the Most High is doing the separation of the wheat from the tares right now? Because there's a separation happening.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, only Yahuwah knows it all. But in my opinion, I think that this lollipop is possibly a way to deal with the rebels, as he says he'll deal with them in his word. It may be that may be part of the separation plan. But obviously, it's interesting. I'm not sure if somebody takes it out of pure deception. I'm not sure if Yahuwah will save them or not. I don't know the answers to that. But I think this lollipop is definitely a weapon used for a means to separate. That's how I see it.
Yeah, it is a dangerous thing anyway. Yeah. So we don't know what's going to become of them, but it's sure not going to be good. Not at all.
Yeah.
Someone was saying I might want to change my code words a bit. Yeah, we probably need to do that. Maybe we go from lollipop to pickle or something like that. So what's your plans now that you're back in Ghana? What are you all planning on doing after your house is built?
Yeah, well, and obviously we've had a lot of so I'm inundated with inquiries. help me with this, help me with that. So obviously, in addition to my work, I plan to already in the process of starting an if you like an Asher and Gad building consultancy. Small steps because I haven't got much time at the moment. But once we finish building the house, I plan to go in a full force with that because there are many people who obviously are building and looking for advice and somebody on the ground to help them. So I plan to go a bit more into that. And you've got businesses you're looking into as well online. So yeah.
I plan to reactivate my clothing line business. So when that happens, obviously we have to move into the house and get everything
Set up.
sorted and then settled before I can do that. Yeah.
So, for Sister Crystal, since your family has always understood that you have Hebrew traditions, did they ever tell you where Jerusalem is or hint at where Jerusalem is?
No, no, not at all.
It's a hard
No,
one.
because no, no, because it's just like I heard it as well. I didn't take it to heart until after a lot of us back home we know, but just that is like a child's play, story tell kind of thing. But it was only the awakening that can make you understand the enormity of how grand it is. Then you start digging into it to understand. Otherwise, they don't know.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
like as you all know, I've been on my hunt to find Jerusalem. I
Yep.
still think right now my number one pick is Ethiopia, and I believe the whole area of Negro land, all the way from Niger all the way across to East Africa, is Israel, right? Which is
No,
where our people are located, right? Which is
absolutely. Yeah.
Israel was where the people were located. So that's my
Exactly.
theory on it. We'll see what happens as the
Exactly.
truth unfold.
Of
But
course.
like for me, I'm waiting for the second Exodus, and to me, there's only one thing left, right?
Hmm.
Which is to me World War III before we leave. What are your thoughts on that? What do you think is left before the second Exodus?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think, when I read the scriptures, when I read Isaiah 66 in particular and others, all I'm waiting for is, all out war, really, all out war. And I think Africa and Africa is at the center of that. I think they're still fighting over us. I mean, they're still fighting over us. I mean, the land of Biafra, for example, where my wife comes from, there's significant issues there, and I believe that's very central to what's happening right now as well. And
Yeah.
they're still fighting over the resources in Congo and the Tigray region. So I think that once the war really picks up and peaks, yeah, I think that's when we're going to see the hand of Yahuwah deliver his people, just as the scripture says.
So let me ask you all about that, because from my research, and I only have a little information. It
Hmm.
seems to be a lot of Israelite concentration in Biafra and also in Tigray.
Yeah,
I mean, not the converted,
yeah,
Ish
yeah.
type,
Mhm.
but the
Now,
traditional Israelites. Is that true? What do you all think?
Yeah, I think that's true because if you look at the story of God, our lineage and all that, you realize that God, being the son of Jacob, in fact, it's called Jacob, but in my language, it's called Jacobo. Ya is God, Kobo is who he is. So he is who he is, God is who he is. That's what it means. So that God has sons. In the Bible, you find Eri, Nri, and his sons. Those, sorry, I can't quite remember all of them, but there's Eri and there's Nri, but
I really also,
yeah,
mm,
Nri and Eri and
yeah,
other sons. There are I think 5 children or so. These are names of the villages in our village. Actually, I am from Nri too, and Nri, that is the son of Eri. You understand? So it's all linked in there together. So what these people did, like if you read, there's a place in the back, I can't remember, the city of David, which is called Ariel. There's
yeah.
Mri is actually there's a village there that's called Areli.
I
You see
really,
that
yeah.
sometimes they twist a lot of these things. So the thing is when there's a star of there's something I have on the internet, that's what the British people they put out there. So the Star of David, they said that was when they came to colonize us, that the Star of David was first, and I was very surprised they said that the Star of David was first found in Biafra land, in that town, Imri, which is the town of David. So why would they find it there? That is where we had the statue of God. And also when our people, because I always heard that our people came all the way from Egypt when they were slaves in Egypt. I'm like, how did we become slaves in Egypt? So in that villages, you see pyramids that we built. In fact, there is a particular place in our village in the Igbo community in Enugu, whereby there's a pyramid that they built right inside the river.
Yeah.
How they did that, I do not know.
Mhm.
So during in 1967, the British France, in fact, 8 countries fought over Biafra. Why they're fighting over it? Because we didn't know. They fought over Biafra. So recently we found out that the reason why the British do not want to release their hold on Biafra is that they believe that if Biafra is allowed to be, that Yeshua will come. That's what they're saying. And they're not ready for that anyway. But
Is that what the British are saying?
yes, it's like if they allow us to be, that Yeshua will come, it will hasten the coming of Yeshua. That's what they're saying. Therefore, they swore never to let us be. So what happened was that the present state of Israel, I obviously I believe in the Revelation 2:9 that, but what's happening right now is, okay, say in 67 when they were fighting us, I mean almost the whole world, they were fighting against Biafra, right? Israel, they were trying to help us. I knew that from history, but the British stopped them from doing that.
In 67.
So, yes. So right now, there are tensions of war in Biafra land. I'm telling you, the British, they're stepping up a lot of, attacks on us. But the state of Israel, I don't know why they're doing this. The state of Israel, they are kind of joining alliance with us. And the Nigerian government, they don't like it. So recently, I read in one of the Israel Times, that's saying that our people were never lost, that we are their brothers. I know we are not their brothers, but why are they actually clinging on to us now?
Hold on one second. You're telling me that the Ashkenaz were saying that we're their brothers?
Yes,
Igbos are
the Igbos are their brothers.
We can send
really?
I'll send you the link.
Send you the link.
That we, in fact, they brought something like it's kind of a Torah, it's a kind of something Torah. I'll show you that they've had it for over 200 years. They brought it to Igbo land, and just 3 weeks ago, and the Nigerian government jailed them. So they said they were making documentaries of the Igbo Hebrews. That's what they called us, that we are their brothers and we should be united. I think it's a political thing because they do not want Britain to come to continue their hold on Biafra. But even at that, the Most High is still using them to work for us. You see what I mean? For them to come out openly to say we are their long lost, we are their Hebrew brothers. We were never lost.
So is this why the African Union has allowed them to join?
Yes, that's why.
That's
yes,
right.
Because when you look at Africa now, there's a lot of jihad going on in West Africa right now, and Britain and France, they're all lovers of these Islamic people.
Fulani,
a lot of our people practice our Hebrew culture, obviously, and some of them are into Judaism. I don't understand that, so I'm not going to go into that. But and also obviously Christianity as well. There are no people to represent us, to help us at all. So we have been telling the whole world that the Judeo-Christians are being persecuted in Nigeria. Obviously, it's real, but it's a political thing they're doing. So Israel is the only country right now that's stepping up to, just like they tried to do before, but are stepping up now to come and help us. So if war breaks out right now, I'm sure we're going to have Israel and whatever country that's working with Israel. So Britain will be in big trouble right now. So it's not like business as usual in the past. Things are changing. For Israel, state of Israel, to call us Hebrew, they are Hebrew brothers. I don't know what that means, but we give God the glory.
So let me make that call.
We just want him to help us
to my supposed Ashkenaz brother over
there. Very, it's a build up. The way I say, very soon they'll bow to all of us.
Yeah.
If they want our friendship, all they got to do is speak reparations. We'll be cool. Just speak reparations, because guess what? If they say reparations, America gonna do it. That's all they got to do.
Right.
And then we could come home and be with you all. So that is very interesting. Can you all find more information on what's happening over there? Because Brother Ganyame had released a video about the Dan of Yaqub over there in Cote d'Ivoire.
Right.
And that must be the same group of Ashkenaz that's going around filming, I guess, is it?
Possibly,
yes.
Yeah.
Because that was a powerful video.
Yes, they go for Igbo Hebrews as well. So what they said is that they are going all over Africa where they have their Hebrew brothers. I don't know why they call themselves Hebrew, but hey, thank God. Okay, they're bringing all their Hebrew brothers. They all want to be one. I'm like, okay, thank you, for doing that. But at the end of the day, Yah will always single out his people and keep them, put them on top. So whichever way, he owns everybody. He owns all our resources, and he will use whomever he wishes to use, to exalt his name.
Exactly.
So we warned everybody about the 400-year prophecy, and look what happens at the end of the 400 years. All hell breaks loose. Everybody, all the other quote unquote Jews want to be our friend now. What y'all think about that?
I know.
It's interesting. It's interesting. Well, for me, I believe in the 400 years, as you know. I mean, apart from awakening, all the dreams we had, how Yahuwah led us to yourself and Dante Forson, and our awakening, which is amazing, really. And with all the events that are happening around us, the CV and the wars, and there's just too much chaos happening. Yahuwah obviously it has already begun his judgment with all the issue, the flooding and the rest, which obviously is going to come under climate change, but we know what is really happening. And it's just amazing how the structures of the world have been set up over time to deceive, even the education system. And it's like, wow, this is incredible. And these people, these evil Gentiles, there is no way they could have thought about this with their own human powers, with their own human intelligence. It's just too good. The plan is just too good.
Yep. Let me ask you a question, because one of our listeners had made a statement, and I thought it was profound. How, the scriptures talk about the birth pains, and how the birth pains come together until the birth of the child. And so, the Bible talks about how Israel is going to be born in a day. And we see all of the judgments on the world, but one of the biggest judgments we're seeing is all of these Gentile nations are being flooded. And the statement that this person made, which I thought was somewhat profound, maybe it's just me, but they said, just as a woman's water breaks right before she's born, now the water has broken forth, noting our deliverance is arriving. What do you think of that?
It could be. I mean, Yahuwah, being a master of design, the things happen that you can always draw analogies to and parallels to. So I think that could be really spot on. Absolutely.
Yeah. And also, in Biafra land now, what they do, these evil people, so they go home to home. They're catching men, young boys from say maybe 30 to 12 to 30, or even newborn babies. They kill them.
Wow.
They bring them out of homes. They kill them. That's for no reason at all. So it's all the genocide. They've been, we've been through genocide for a very long time. It continues as well. But the funny thing that happened was that about 2 days ago, there's a particular guy that works with their police. I think is the head of the police department. I don't know how they run their thing there. But what happened was that the United States told him that he's under arrest for fraud.
Right.
And that's the guy that's been killing people. So what it is now, the Nigerian people have to hand him over to the United States, the FBI, but they're afraid to do that. So when you look at it, because we prayed to the Most High that he should, hold that guy, do whatever thing he wants to do to him, but just to make sure that he stops killing our people. And then the Most High has his hands tied up right now. So he has to go to the United States to, answer for all the iniquities he's done. And then he's beginning to name people. I'm talking about thousands and thousands of hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars involved in this thing. So they're paying people, they're killing people. I don't know if you heard about 4 months ago, there were 7,000 male genitals from Igbo land that were shipped to China. It was caught. They were caught in the container, and they were talking about it in their parliament or the Senate. So how did this? I mean, it's just ridiculous.
So much
honestly,
evil, so much evil going
these
on,
things they kind of make us kind of, oh my God, it's a lot of evil. but we believe that the Most High will do something, because the birth pains is just I don't know, it's just too much for a lot of us to bear at the moment. But yeah, I believe that all these things, that the stories that we're hearing that's happening in the Gentile, obviously we're not supposed to be happy, but we just acknowledge that these things are happening and thank the Most High for keeping his words.
Exactly.
Yeah, that I find myself, when I see the judgments, I'm torn, because I don't want to see anybody ill. I don't want to see anyone sick, suffering. And at the same time, it's like, well, the Most High said He was going to judge our enemies. So I'm like, well, what did I expect, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, well, I'm excited that the Most High is dealing with our enemies and He's coming to save us, right? But sometimes I feel torn because I hate to see people suffer, but it's sort of like, well, they sort of brought it on themselves and they're reaping what they've sown, right?
Yeah.
So it sort of catches, sort of a catch 22. But I know, the Most High said, when you see the judgments on your enemy, don't glory in it, because He say, I might relent of it. So,
Exactly. Exactly. And also because there are, obviously, as we know, there are some Gentiles, although probably quite a few in numbers, who love Yahuwah and who are going to cling on to us. So, we need to love them, as well.
Exactly. That's how I feel. I mean, if you love Yahuwah, I love you, and because if you love Him, you love us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And not the ones who just by word, but by action and deeds, right?
Yeah. But even though we love them, that doesn't mean we're going to stop talking about the punishment, talking about things that happen. We still have to talk about these things. So
Yeah.
I mean, we have to be honest, right? Because here's the thing: the Bible says if you don't warn them, right, and judgment comes upon them, then their blood on your hand. But if you warn them and they don't listen, the blood is on them. So we do our part, right? Because look, here's the thing: we've been down that road already. Our ancestors have been down that road of disobedience, not doing what the Most High told them to do. And every time I see that, I'm like, I don't fully understand our ancestors. I ain't gonna lie, because I'm like, you had a covenant with the Most High, yeah, but you wanted to be like everybody else, and you wanted to worship other gods, and you wanted to go into paganism and worship goddesses. I don't get it. But at least we're being restored, and I'm looking forward to the complete restoration of the dry bones.
I have a question for you, actually. Do you think, because when you look, obviously, the scriptures, you've got the canon, and you've got obviously the books that were removed, the Apocrypha, which I read, because I think they most of them follow the same principle and historic as well. Do you ever think a time will come where by some way Yahuwah will bring back the very original text, because so that we can a very original text without all any manipulation that the Gentiles have done?
That's a good question. I mean, be honest with you, I really don't know. Maybe what's going to happen is maybe the prophets will start showing up again.
Right.
The Samuels and all that type of stuff. And we're going to hear directly from the Most High again, like our ancestors did. Because, I mean, we know they mess with the scriptures. I'm not saying that the scriptures themselves are wrong. No, the context, the meat of it, the message is, but it's little changes, right? And we see that. I mean, just by the addition of Easter, right? If you can say that by itself, right? And I also think like some of the scriptures dealing with the location of Jerusalem may have, just my opinion, may have been modified a little bit. Right? I don't know. But the Bible says there's judgment on those who add to and take away from His word. So apparently that happened.
Exactly. And Yahuwah wouldn't have said that if he didn't know that they were going to do it.
Yeah. But for those Christians out there, I do believe the message is there, that everything the Most High wanted us to know is there. I trust in His word, right? I'm just saying you have to be led by the Spirit. Right, that's where we need to be, and that's why, like, even with some of the Apocrypha, like with Second Ezra, I think it's chapter 8. I forgot what verse. There's a particular scripture in there that's problematic, but you don't throw out the whole thing, right? Because there's one problematic verse, right? And so that's how I look at it. And I think we have to be more sensitive in spiritual things. Like, for instance, some of y'all see some of these people out there, and your spirit don't testify who they are, right, and what they say, even though they're nice and talk all soft and things like that. Your spirit tells you something wrong, but you listen to the person because they're all smooth, right? And I think people need to be more sensitive and learn how to be sensitive to the Spirit.
Exactly.
That's true.
Exactly. Yeah. That's the key. That is the key, really.
Just like the word says, you have to test every spirit.
Yeah.
No matter how much they pretend, one word or the other, your spirit just tells you will know. And when when you look into it, you realize that my spirit was actually right. Because if the spirit
Exactly.
of the Most High lives in you, he never lies to you at all. He will
Exactly.
just show
Yep.
you straight on. Yeah.
You know what taught me? My brother, because my brother, he's always right when he say. I mean, he's never been wrong that I know of. And like I used to think I wasn't wrong, except one time I met this guy, and my spirit was like, he's like this and that and that. But then come to find out, you know, he wasn't the way I thought he may have been. But that because he got saved, right? And so I sort of stopped listening to what my spirit would tell me about people. But then I start listening to it again, and I'm usually right. And so, but I can't think of a time that my brother has been wrong when he says things that the spiritual discernment about people and stuff. And I think we have to get back to that, because that's how the Most High speaks to most of us, right? And that's how He spoke to our ancestors, is by the Spirit.
Right.
And because we've been caught in Babylon, we think everything has to be written down and categorized and all this type stuff. And we really got to go back to the ancient traditions, right? The ways of old.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, honestly. And I think before we knew who we were, the Most High, oh my God, He's so very merciful. He's been guiding us. But right now that we really know who we are, I think the best thing for us to do is to go back to the way it used to be, how He used to communicate to our people, how they used to be when the Most High was communicating to them. You understand? Living the life that Yeshua wants us to live. And you realize that the Spirit will just drop. You will be sensing everything. Honestly, it just comes like that, and it's for our protection, because He promised us He's going to be there for us. He's going to live in us, guide us in all our ways. He definitely will do that. He's going to protect us from all harms, and he will do that. He will do that.
And see, too, I think by us doing that is going to come to the fulfillment of rise and shine, for your light has come, the glory of the Lord is upon you, right? As Israel start going back to the traditions of the scriptures, right? Not the pagan side of our people, but and see, that's the problem with people like Dr. Mumby. She then went to the pagan side of our ancestors and think that's our original, but no, that's the falling away side of the ancestors.
Exactly.
So can you all let people know about our people know about your channel and how they can find you and contact you?
Yeah, sure. So our YouTube channel is called Asher and Gad, as it's written on the screen. And you type that in and you'll see a picture of us on there. And then on every single video and in the about section, we have our email address there if you want to contact us for any inquiries or any questions you may have on based on the videos that we do, which are mainly about building your house in Ghana, and also life in general in Ghana that we showcase as well.
And quick question before we go. So you're building your house right now, right? Were there any obstacles that you ran into? Because I forgot to ask about that. Were there any obstacles to building your house and maintaining, I guess, your ownership of it? Because I mean, do they have property taxes? Do they have all these type things?
In terms of what's it called? Obtaining the land, yes, it was a long drawn out process. We've got a video on that, about 20 steps, part 1 and part 2. It's a long drawn out process. We got our land from the chief. Most of the land in Ghana belongs to the chief, right? Chiefs, sorry. And you don't get freehold these days. It's all leasehold. So because I've got dual citizenship, so I'm UK and Ghana. My wife is British, so I'm able to get a 99-year lease, and she gets a 50-year lease on the same plot. So that is fine. There is a yearly the lease. There is a yearly fee to pay, although they rarely come around. They may come around every sort of 3 or 4 years, but it's not a significant amount of money. And but as the lease comes towards the end, you just have to renegotiate it with the chiefs or the chief's son, whoever is next in charge, and it's normally easy to renew it. You just have to give them a little gift, let's say. But Yeah, there were challenges along the way. Really challenges in terms of the bureaucracy in the system and the long-windedness of the system in terms of getting the land. But yes, with determination, you can get there in the end. Yeah.
Yeah. Bro Yakubu, I just want to say something briefly. That Kingsley talked about the land being owned by the chiefs in Ghana. Where I come from, the Biafra land, Igbo land, is not like that.
Yeah.
The lands are owned by people in the family, members of the family. Like my dad, he inherited his land from his dad, who inherited it from his own dad, and da da da. So for in my family now, my brothers, they've also inherited their, because I've got two brothers, they also inherited their portions of land from my dad. And women where I come from do not inherit land, but your father can assign a land to you, just like Job did with his daughters in the Bible. He loved them so much and gave them a piece of land. So I spoke to my brothers because my dad has gone to be with the Lord. So I spoke to my brother the other day and I said to him, look, if I want a piece of land, can you guys give me? Because now I have to go to them because my dad didn't give me, but everything belongs to them. He said, yeah, when you're ready, we'll give you a piece of land. You do anything, provided I'm not going to sell it. So it's whatever thing I do, it still remains in the family. Yeah.
And Ghana used to be like that. Used to a few years ago until I think it was Rawlings who changed it, probably under the influence of the Gentiles. But yeah, it got changed. But we used to be like that. Yeah. But I have a question for you actually, Mr. Eko. But what are the restrictions like right now in America as a whole? Maybe the state you're in.
I mean, some areas, certain states are locking down again. Where I'm at is still sort of open. People got to wear masks and things like that. But in New York, he's going hardcore on them and saying everybody got to do this, and everybody who works for the government, needs to get the lollipop, stuff like that. So it's going to be coming to a head. It's the same thing in California. Also, they're, demanding the lollipop, but
but I hear Texas is pretty cool. It's pretty calm. Well, that's what I'm.
Yeah. Texas and Florida, I think. Well, Florida has some outbreaks, but Texas seems to be okay. That's where I used to live.
Right.
But I don't know what's going to happen there. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I think America is in trouble, big time. But most people don't realize it. And I think by 2022, there's going to be evident all of the issues that we have to deal with.
Yeah. So. Are Texas still trying to pull out of America? Is that still on the cards?
I haven't heard anything about that. I wouldn't be surprised of Texas pulling out at some point. I think if they get too rough with that whole thing, Texas might pull out. I might move back to Texas. But I haven't heard anything. I mean, be honest with you, you can't trust these people. I mean, whoever you think your allies or not your allies, they'll turn on you in an instant, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So just waiting on the Most High. I don't trust none of them.
That's true. That's true. You're very right. Absolutely right.
Yeah. So again, I want to thank y'all for coming on, and family, thank y'all for listening, and please go support their channel, Asher and Gad. And also, don't forget about the Dry Bones Project and support those who are part of that. All right. Thank you, Brother Kingsley and Sister Crystal. And I don't know if Brother Kingsley told you. I told him you remind me of my older sister. I mean, she's no longer with us.
Really?
But I wouldn't be surprised we from your family. So we'll be coming up.
Bless you. Oh.
Yeah. All right. Thank y'all for coming on. And
thank you for having us.
Yes.
All right. Yeah. Y'all be blessed.
Yes. Thank you.
All right.